All right, so last time we talked about some of the basic data types. So one of those was one called a list. Okay, so this video I want to kind of dive into some of the details of this list thing that we talked about earlier. There's a lot to it, and it's super powerful, and we're going to use them for all sorts of stuff. So again, this is kind of a high level view, but I kind of want to get into some of the details because we're going to use this over and over again. So again, like always, let's go open a folder. Let's go to my little desktop thing, Python class. We'll just make a new folder here called lists. Okay, select. Awesome. Again, nothing in here. Let's make a new file here. We'll call it lists. Oops. You can call this whatever you want. There's nothing special, but it does have to end in a .py. That's the Python file extension. All right, so let's make a quick little list here. We'll call it a list of numbers. Okay, and you guessed it. Let's make a list of numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that's a good list. I'm gonna add some comments in here, just so it's not just me talking. You can read it too. So a comment in Python starts with the number sign. So if you type a number sign like this, you'll see in this particular theme it turns green right away. So anything I type here is a comment, and Python will ignore it when it tries to compile this. So this is not code. This is just for us. It helps us read or add notes to our code so we can remember what we were doing. So in this case, I'm going to print the second number in this list. So I'm going to leave a comment, print the second number in this list. Okay. So lists in Python, and actually in most programming language, I'm trying to think of one that this is not true in. I'm sure there's one. But most programming languages, even though my numbers here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, this number right here, this is the index of this, the location of this in our list is actually it's 0. Everything starts at 0. So this number, the location of it is 0. The location of this one in the list is 1. The location of this is 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so we start counting our indexes. It's what it's called at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So maybe just so it's not confusing, let me I don't know. Let's change these numbers just so it's not confusing. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whoops. Okay, so the index of this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, it's kind of the address of this number in this list. That's probably a better way to put it. So if I wanted this number right here, this 7, I can get it from this list using its address. Now the address in this case is it's number 1. So again, this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, and so on. But yeah, this is true in most programming languages I'm aware of. So again, if we wanted to print that one, so let's print. If we wanted to just print that number real quick, not make it all pretty, so you could say list of numbers. Okay, and then we use these brackets again. So the brackets, and now here, which number do I want? I wanted the second one. Okay, the 7. So that's the first index. Okay. Actually, it's not first index, it's index 1. Sorry for the confusion there. So if I print this, I'm going to hit save, it's going to print a 7. So print or play, and sure enough, here's your 7. Okay. And again, if I was trying to debug this or use this in a sentence, I could say I'm going to use a formatted string again. I could use an F and then quotes. The second element in the list is, oops, scroll over here, and then I use my bracket, what are these called? Whatever those are called. Brackets, I guess. Anyway, we use that, put our variable inside those, and it'll print. So, sorry, I zoomed in the text on this so that you guys can read it. So, and then of course, any string that we put in the print function needs to have a starting quote, which is right here, and then we put the ending quote all the way over here. Okay, so let's go ahead and save this and print it. And sure enough, right here, the second element in the list is 7, which is true. Okay, so you can define a list like this. In most of our programs, we're going to want to be adding data to a list, and we won't know that data when we first start the program. You know, maybe it's something like adding a list of names. You know, write all your friends' names into a list. So you can do that like I'm going to show you right now. So first thing, we need to define a list. So we'll call this list of names. And then we're going to equals a empty list, which is these two brackets. Okay? There's nothing in it. It's empty. It's blank. So we add elements to a list by appending them to the end. Okay, so turns out there's a function that's part of this list object called append. So if I write, list of, man, I can't type, of names, and I hit a dot, boom, VS Code will populate this list of all of the functions or methods that that this object can do. So there's append right at the top. Some of these are pretty self-explanatory. If I have a list and I hit this clear function or clear method, it'll just empty the whole thing. I can copy it, count, so on and so forth. You can reverse it, sort it. It's pretty cool. So in our case, we're going to use this append method. And again, if I hold my mouse over this, you can see it says it's a method right here. Gives you, you'll learn what all this means, but gives you kind of a syntax for how it's laid out. Again, hold my mouse over this one, it tells you it's a variable. There's the name and what it is. It's a list. So it's pretty cool. So here we'll put our parentheses. Now I need to add my friends in here, so we'll add Bob. He's pretty cool. Who else? List. Oops, I keep doing that. List of names. Dot pen. Michelle. She's amazing. Add her. List of names. Who else? Travis. He's super cool. Yep, and there we go. There's our list. Okay. So it's a list, and just like before, we can print it. So if we want to see everything in our list, we'll just hit print, again in parentheses, and then type our list in there. List of names. Hit save. If I hit run here, there it is. There is our list. Okay. So get rid of this again. Now, just like we did in the previous one, up here, right, I told you that each of these numbers has kind of an address. There's a location where this number can be found. We can do the same thing with these names. It's the exact same thing. So if I wanted to, let's say print let's say print Michelle here. So her location in this list starting at 0. So Bob is 0, Michelle is 1, Travis is 2, Cliff is 3. So if I wanted to print, I'm going to print a little text here so we can find it. Print the second person in the list is, okay. And now I'm going to print her name. So print. Now I'll write list of names, and then again in brackets here. She was at location 1. And again, if I hit save, hit play, sure enough, there it is. Pretty cool. Now, there's a couple tricks. So a lot of times we want the first person in a list. So if I write first, just so our text looks right, that's going to be at 0, okay, which makes perfect sense if you think about it. So hit play. First person list is Bob. Yep. What would we do for the last person? Okay. So we could write 0, 1, 2, 3 to get Cliff. Okay. Which is fine. But what if we don't know how many are in the list? Okay. There's a couple ways we can do this. I'm going to give you 2 ways. So let's say the last person in the list is. Now, Python has tons of built-in methods or functions. And one of them is the length. I keep calling them functions, but they're methods. There's one called length. Now, for whatever reason, instead of writing length, they shortened it to len. Okay, right here. So let's figure out how long our list is first. So we'll give it a variable name. We'll call it length of list. Now here's where that method will come in. Len for length, okay, and it tells you returns the number of items in a container. So the container in this case is our list. So we'll write list of names. Okay. Now, this is the number of elements in the list. So there's four names in here. But of course, our index, okay, starts at 0. So what we could do, again, we're learning how to solve problems here. We need to get the last index. So we could give it this number, the length of our list, and then just subtract 1, right? So length of list what did I do wrong? Something's funny here. Looks like I messed up something. What did I do? Oh, it's because I can't spell. There it is. So notice that. This is kind of cool. I can't spell worth anything. And when I actually spelled it correctly, Python didn't know what I was talking about because computers are stupid. So it did exactly what I told it to do. So this version of my variable was spelled differently than this version, and it caught it. It put a little orange squiggly underneath there. So if I spell this right, you'll notice that squiggle goes away. Boom. So back to our actual stuff here. So this is going to print, it should print Cliff. Let's see. So hit save. Boom. Yep, last person in the list is Cliff. Now there's a shortcut. So this is a lot of code to write. So we can get rid of all this. In this case, I can comment it out so Python ignores it. I just put a number sign in front, turns green. And in this case, what we can actually do is just put a -1, which is not intuitive. But this is it. So if I want the last item in a list, again, I'm not sure why they did this, but I can write a -1 here, and it will always give me the last item. Okay? So hit save. I can get rid of all this stuff. I could delete this instead of just comment it out. Hit play. And again, there it is. Last person on the list is Cliff. Now, you can keep going with this. If I wanted the second to last person, Travis is pretty cool. If I wanted his name, let's say the second to last person in the list, I can write a -2 and it'll grab Travis. So hit save, play. There it is. So we're going to use this stuff a ton, but I wanted to make sure you wrapped your head around this whole list thing. It's not super complicated. Probably the most complicated part is just knowing that the location of each of these numbers starts at 0. That's its location in the list, starts at 0 and goes forward from there. Awesome.